Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at supermicrocomputer. It is time for another update, and today we'll be going to focus specifically on the smaller time frame here, within this structure to the upside. And for context, we are at the moment tracking a larger wave 3 within which we are expecting to form a bottom in the wave 4 correction in the area between the $43.5 all the way down to the $13.9 level. And even though we may not break the area of support, this is a very fragile interpretation, this is a very fragile structure, and forming another low within this area, even if it could be an extension in an ABC movement, even if it holds the area in the end, it would be quite hard to still consider this structure to work out. In the end, the proportions are already quite different for the wave 2 and the wave 4 correction. And if this idea of an impulse is still to work out, ideally we would have already bottomed, or the wave 4 would be unfolding as a triangle instead. Now, unfortunately, there is no clear signal that we have indeed bottomed. In fact, from the current wave 4 low, we only have a 3-wave move to the upside, which isn't suggestive of a larger 5-wave move to be unfolding, but in fact could be suggestive of a correction within a larger downtrend. This could be just an A wave down, not the entire wave 4. We could have here a wave B and a C wave to extend even lower, and that is in fact exactly what we have been tracking in the orange interpretation. And then even within the orange interpretation, we had an additional scenario that could have seen basically a reset of the wave B. Now, this would have been within a WXY in the green scenario, where we were tracking this ABC structure to the upside, but since we failed to hold even the extended area of support down to the 88.7% retracement, the probabilities for this structure to manage to extend higher are extremely slim, very, very low, not even considering this, and I won't even leave this area of support to track further possible push higher and a retest. This isn't seeming to prove too relevant, and we are very, very close to full invalidation. In fact, a break below the $27.6 level would do just that, and we will keep here on the chart this idea in green of an ABC movement until then, but I'm telling you, this isn't necessarily to be expected. I would much rather prefer that we should track a larger continuation, a larger correction to the downside. Now, whether that is the wave C in the orange interpretation or just a reset of something like a 1-2 setup within a larger ending diagonal in the wave 5, doesn't really matter. I would need to see a reset to track confidently again a potential uprise, because at this point, even if we manage to get a more significant push higher, I would consider that to be just a relief rally within this structure to the downside. There are many patterns that could allow still further continuation lower, and I'm going to favor all of them on top of this idea of an extension within the green scenario. Now, as I was saying, within the orange interpretation, we are tracking here something like a 1-2 setup in the wave C and a third wave that is expected to unfold to the downside. And within this wave 3, we have been tracking an impulse at the moment. Now, it doesn't need to be an impulse. I could see it working out even within different structures, even within an extension in a larger ABC movement that could still be working out within this idea of a wave 3. But at the moment, even within this internal structure, I actually do still see further continuation possible, and honestly, even preferred. Now, within this pattern, we have been tracking here an internal 5-wave move to the downside in the wave 3. And since the previous video, we actually did get an extension following the area of resistance into which we pushed in this wave 4. We formed a marginally lower low, and while this isn't necessary to be the bottom, this could have been just a larger ABC movement with an overshoot, basically an expanded flat correction. Doesn't really matter at the moment. I am actually still preferring further continuation lower. The orange interpretation is overall heavily winning within this pattern, within this structure, and I would consider that even if we get a more significant rally, as I was mentioning, within this area, a more significant relief rally, this would be within only a wave 4 correction that we could expect to form at any time. And once this is complete, we would expect still continuing lower, and this would only build the larger wave 3. After that, we would still need to complete a larger wave 4 correction, and overall we would need to be tracking an extensive amount of downside even within these areas. Now, I actually see that the count is slightly misaligned. I'm not necessarily sure. No, it is working right, just the degrees aren't necessarily proper because we have run out of actual waves to be putting here on the chart. Now, with that said, we can track an area of resistance for such an idea, although once again I don't necessarily expect to get here, because even this fifth wave, even this internal wave 5, part of the larger wave 3 to the downside, I don't necessarily consider to be complete. I could easily see further extensions lower. It could even build something like a larger 1-2 setup, could still push lower in a very direct fashion, and I would be looking for the area of resistance between the 34 point and let's just say the $34 level all the way up to the $40.5 level. But I have no clear signal that we have formed the bottom. I will leave this area of resistance for context, for a larger area to look for on the larger time frame until the next video, until the next update. But internally, from this area, from these levels, we can track here a potential 1-2 setup. But even in this case, even if I consider this to be an ABC structure, within this correction, something like that, even WXY, whatever would work, doesn't really matter. We could notice that even then we have broken below the last level of support. Even then, the structure is telling us that it is rather likely to fail and extend to lower prices. Now, whether it does or not, doesn't really matter. In the end, I am still tracking continuation lower, and the only upside potential that I could see would still need to prove itself. I don't have any reliable area to actually provide you to track a direct movement to the upside in the smaller time frame. What else we could be looking for continued upside is what I was mentioning earlier, and that would be here a larger 1-2 setup. Possibly even a larger WXY could work out. Doesn't really matter too much in the end. I could be tracking an interesting area of support from the perspective that yes, it could still work out, but it is not a high probability area. This is not as a trade setup. I'm not providing you this to look for a potential 1-2 setup or any type of setup, to be honest. But right now, I'm focusing on a larger correction to take place at the very least, if not something more bearish within the orange scenario. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover. And I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.